album that could either be their crowning achievement or a long-awaited letdown. Songs of a Lost World isn't just another record from a legacy band, no. It's a deep emotional dive into loss, mortality, and everything in between. But after decades of anticipation, was it really worth the wait? I have to say I've never really been interested or followed much of The Cure over the years. I kind of liked a couple of the hits, but other than that I wouldn't know many of the singles or really any of the album titles. But what I have become aware of is really quite an amazing interest in this band's latest release, so I've decided to give it a spin. In a music world where many rock legends either fade into obscurity or recycle their past's glories, Songs of a Lost World, the 14th studio album from The Cure, really stands out as a remarkable exception. Now, for fans who have followed the band through their nearly 5-decade journey, this album is more than just another release. It's the culmination of years of anticipation. It's a release that many thought would never come. As I say, 16 long years have passed since the band's last album. And while many legacy acts from the 70s and 80s release new material that feels really like an afterthought to accompany the tours, with this album, Songs of a Lost World, it presents something entirely different. What you get is an album that's been crafted with meticulous care. It's one that simply refuses to be a fleeting addition to the band's discography. It's both unexpected and in many ways unprecedented. Now, the long road to the album's release is part of what really makes it so special. Originally, it was slated to drop 5 years ago, but The Cure have been teasing its arrivals by performing some of the new tracks in live venues, leaving fans in a constant state of anticipation. That's just mean. But this slow, methodical approach that has been adopted to finish the album has made its release really feel like quite a major event, and why not indeed? So unlike the hurried releases typical of veteran acts, Robert Smith and his bandmates have taken the time, and it shows in every layer of this record. It has a feel that makes it seem relevant and emotionally rich, even for the band that's been active for nearly half a century. But at the core of this album, there lies a deep exploration of themes long familiar to The Cure's music. Themes of loss, of isolation, and the fragility of existence. But the approach here is darker and more reflective than in some of the band's previous works. Fans that were looking for that catchy pop moments that mark hits like Lovesong or Friday I'm in Love, I did like that one by the way, certainly won't find them on this album, that's for sure. Instead, what you will get is an album that leans heavily into the atmospheric and gothic depths that have characterised The Cure's most iconic records. Particularly the album from back in '89, I think it was, Disintegration, which has often been regarded as their masterpiece. So the brooding intensity of this album calls back to that era, but with a maturity and depth that really only time and experience can bring. From the outset, the album makes its tone clear. The opening track alone is a nearly 7-minute opener, and this sets the mood with swirling synths and pounding drums that build suspense before Robert Smith's voice finally enters. It's over 3 minutes before that actually happens, and this is quite a theme throughout this album. The song unfolds really at its own pace, pulling the listener into a melancholic soundscape that feels quite cinematic. This atmospheric intensity becomes a hallmark of this album, as I suggested, being sustained across the whole of its runtime. Even when the tempo picks up in tracks like Drone No Drone or All I Ever Am, this energy serves really to enhance the overall brooding mood rather than disrupt it. The album is marked by its consistency, maintaining a cohesive emotional landscape from start to finish. A track like Warsong, for example, uses creaky organ chords to evoke a sense of aching sadness, while another one, and Nothing Is Forever, This blends strings and alternative rock guitars to create a bittersweet sonic palette. It's very clever. But throughout, there is no attempt to shoehorn a radio-friendly style single into the mix, and really that should be lauded. This is an album for connoisseurs. Instead, you get a cohesive take on how life is always changing, set to the familiar sounds of The Cure. Now, a highlight of the album is its epic closer called End Song, which stretches over 10 minutes and serves as a meditation on the themes that run through the record. Again, it's got that slow build and haunting atmosphere to harken back to The Cure's best moments from their past. Now, I simply love this track, and look out for an appreciation of this song in the coming days when I will share my thoughts more extensively on this track. It really is that good. Perhaps one to subscribe to the channel for and set the notification for when it's released, and then you won't miss that video when it comes out. But for long-time fans, it's a powerful reminder of why The Cure still matters. Smith's songwriting here feels really deeply personal, as if he's not really revisiting old themes, but actively reckoning with the weight of time and loss. It's also worth noting on the album that it's the first Cure to be written and arranged solely by Smith since 1985's The Head on the Door. Now, there is a noticeable intimacy in the solitude that Smith explores, a sense that he's creating a place of reflection rather than obligation. The result is an album that resonates not just with long-time fans, but with anyone who has felt the passing of time or grappled with life's inevitable melancholy. It's a deeply personal work, but it never feels self-indulgent. Rather, it is a reminder that the emotional depths that great music can reach even after so many years. Now, for many fans, this album will undoubtedly be seen as a triumph. It's not just a solid release from a veteran act, but a late career masterpiece that ranks among The Cure's best work. And it is after so many years. It was uncertain whether the band could still produce something that's vitally and emotionally charged. Yet, with this album, they have clearly exceeded expectations, and they've been able to deliver a work that feels both timeless but also timely. However, not everyone will see the album as a perfect masterpiece. Some listeners may find that it occasionally feels like it leans too heavily on the atmospheric, elongated instrumental sections that define Disintegration. Now, it's fair to say that while those sections have been beautifully arranged, at times they can feel overextended, dragging the pace of certain tracks. So what was once a wonderful 2-minute build-up might now stretch to 4 or 5 minutes, losing some of its impact along the way. I didn't find that, I have to be honest. There's also a sense that the album really might have benefited more from energy in certain places, with a few tracks needing a bit more bite to balance out the long, introspective sections. Songs like the opener Alone and Nothing Is Forever might have been stronger with a little bit more urgency or variation. I don't know about that personally. Though the mood is undoubtedly cohesive, it might also leave some listeners wishing for a more dynamic range. That said, there are standout moments that inject fresh energy into the album, like Drone No Drone. And this one brings a groovy, perhaps almost tormented pulse to the middle section of the record. How about that for a combination? And it is a refreshing change of pace on an album that otherwise moves quite slowly and deliberately. But in the end, despite its very minor flaws, there's a lot to love about Songs of a Lost World. Tracks like War Song and A Fragile Thing, these really capture the essence of what makes The Cure so enduring. Their ability to create haunting, melancholic beauty out of life's darker moments. The guitar work on End Song is some of the best on the record, showcasing that even after all these years, the band certainly knows how to deliver really a powerful, emotionally charged climax. I love that track. Now, for die-hard fans, this album will be a welcome to The Cure's catalogue, it's fair to say that. And a reminder that the band still has something important to say. For casual listeners, it may not reach the heights of Disintegration, but it's still a very, very strong album from a band that has refused to fade quietly into the background. Now, with rumours of even more material waiting to be released, feels like a reassertion of The Cure's relevance in what is an ever-changing musical landscape. It's definitely an album that grows on you with each listen. And for those who've been following The Cure for years, and that's so many of you, that's more than enough. So as the final notes of End Song fade, we are left with a poignant reminder of why we fell in love with The Cure in the first place, and really hope that it isn't the last that we will hear from them. Now, if you've enjoyed this review, please take a moment to like, share and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future releases. Thank you for that. Please leave your comments in the description section, where you can also find ways to support the channel should you so desire. Remember that my new Patreon channel for requests will begin in January, and there'll be more details to follow shortly. Keep an eye out for that. Thank you to all my subscribers who have watched this one, and to any new viewers, you are very welcome to the channel and hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you all later.